As a Canadian business owner with US clients, my aim is not only to help you file a US tax return, but also, and more importantly, to help you realize you can pay zero tax to the IRS. I'm Sal, a cross-border accountant in Toronto, and I help Canadian business owners just like you pay zero tax to the IRS and help avoid double taxation. I had a client come to me the other day, a Canadian corporation with US clients, and he wanted to know if they need to pay any tax to the IRS. They went to a US accountant and they were asking them to pay a ton in taxes. And I helped them realize that as a Canadian corporation, you do not have any need to pay US taxes if certain such situations do apply to you. And that is all thanks to the US-Canada tax treaty. See, according to the treaty, Article 7, Paragraph 1, if you have no permanent establishment in the US, you're not required to pay any tax to the IRS. So what does that mean? Permanent establishment means that either you have an office, a warehouse, or employees in the United States. If you have none of those things, you're not required to pay the IRS a dime. So what does that all mean? A warehouse means that you have your own dedicated warehouse. If you have a 3PL, let's say you're an e-commerce store, you sell shoes in the US, and you've just got all your inventory sitting in a third-party logistics company or in the US, that's not your own warehouse. So you're not required to pay any taxes to the IRS because you're not doing business on their soil. You're literally doing all your business from Canada. Your mind and your management are in Canada. Similarly, if you don't have US employees and if you don't have a US office, you're not required to pay the IRS a dime. Now, if you have a registered agent address, which a lot of business owners do, that's not an office. I'm talking about a physical office. And that's because the US-Canada tax treaty allows you to do that. So I understand you probably have an EIN, an employer identification number, and you got that because you either wanted to open a bank account or you had to open a marketplace like a TikTok or Amazon account. Or for any other reason, you got an EIN and now obviously you have US tax filing obligations. What do you do there? So you would file a 1120F. A Form 1120 is the US corporate tax return and the F is for foreign corporations. So you would file that, you would report your income and your expenses on that form. But again, you're not required to pay any tax. So you're going to attach a Form 8833, which is a treaty-based return. What you're going to do is you're going to mention that Article 7, Paragraph 1 from the US-Canada tax treaty, and you're going to mention that the corporation is a foreign corporation and has no permanent establishment in the US and is not subject to US taxes. You will attach this form to your 1120F and you would send it off to the IRS. On the Canadian side, however, you would have to report all of this income. So you're going to convert your income into Canadian dollars, report it on your Canadian corporate tax return, your T2. Do bear in mind, sometimes people do forget this, that for a client that's in the US, you are not going to be charging them any HST. So don't collect that HST, but if you've paid any HST on your expenses, definitely claim that. So for example, if you manufacture something and you've had to pay a HST on the goods you bought, definitely claim that, but you won't be charging any HST to your US clients. So you're going to get a nice big refund. So one more thing, if anybody says to you that you need to file a Form 5472, that's a big no-no. If you're filing a Form 1120F with a Form 8833, the IRS allows you to not file a Form 5472. What is that form? A long story, let's not get into that. But if you file that form once, then you open a Form 5472 account with the IRS. So they're gonna expect it every year. And if the following year you forget to file it, or you're late in filing it, or you make a mistake, you're gonna have an automatic $25,000 penalty. Obviously, you don't want that. So definitely, if anybody tells you to file that form, avoid that at all costs. So that's it. Just file your 1120 with Form 8833 and you're good to go. You have no US taxes to pay. Guys, if this was helpful, like and subscribe to this channel. You're gonna get informed if new videos come up similar to this. See you in the next one.